Hey guys, welcome to Behind the Basket. It's been a couple weeks, but we are back
Finally.
in business. Finally back ready to talk about some NBA basketball. NBA finals are over. Hunter Meiningen is back in the house. So basically, all we have to talk about are some off-season things, maybe some way too early speculation about next season. But there's still plenty to talk about. The NBA is one of the most exciting leagues in the world right now. Got a lot of stuff. And as always, let's start with some off-season news. The biggest thing to touch on this week is the former Rockets general manager, Daryl Morey, who stepped down
hmm
from his position with the Rockets and is now going to be managing the Philadelphia 76ers. This is very interesting because the past several years we've seen his analytical approach to basketball, which has led to Houston's effective yet criticized style of play with a lot of three-point shooters, with a lot of Harden ISO. Now he's in Philadelphia. He's got a point guard who can't shoot threes and one of the most eccentric centers in the league. What do you think about this Daryl Morey in Philadelphia situation?
Man, I was super upset about it because he's a genius when it comes to the trades and everything. He's gotten some of the craziest deals, but I think it's good for him. He said he was taking a year off to be with his kids, and then immediately signed a deal. So I still think that it's related to the owner Tillman, but he's going to be with Doc Rivers, and they are already trying to get Harden. And the Rockets have said, absolutely not. That's not happening. But, we just have no idea with the new, what's his name? Raphael Stone? Is that who they're?
Yeah, I think that's the new Houston guy.
Yeah, I don't know what his envision is for the team, really. But I think that Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers are probably going to make some crazy trades. I just hope that it's not Harden because I will cry. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't see why Houston would give Harden up
Yeah.
because I don't think you're going to get enough return for his value because he's been a top 3 MVP candidate for the past 4 years
Right.
or whatever. So you can't give that up unless you're getting equal value. And there's not really any packages that teams can put together at this point that would equate the value you're getting from Houston. And they just traded a ton of picks for Westbrook. So tanking is off the table.
Mm-hmm.
That
And
being
well,
said,
they got the new coach. I don't know if it's Steven Silas.
mhm.
He actually had a press conference today talking about his envision for the team, and
Mhm.
it sounds like he wants to keep both Harden and Westbrook. He has plans for that offense, which involves a lot more work in the transitions, which they lack in a lot right now. It's all ice. I mean, it's always been ISO.
Mhm.
But like when they were playing the Lakers, I remember that the Lakers, like all of their points were transition points, and the Rockets hadn't scored like any at all. So that's definitely they're gonna work on having a less predictable offense. And he said that they play better offensively when the defense isn't set. So they're gonna have a bunch of strategic moves to like catch them off guard, basically. So I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
and
forward to seeing what they do.
definitely. They actually improved in that regard when they picked up Westbrook. He is one of
Yeah.
the most deadly players in the transition. That's where he thrives. It's one of his strengths, and it kind of overcomes a lot of his weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
When Harden had Chris Paul, and then the season after, Houston had one of the slowest teams in the league as far as getting into the transition. They just weren't doing it. It
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of half court offense, and Westbrook single-handedly brought them into the top half of the league. Something that
Right.
made me excited about Stephen Silas, or Stephen, we'll call him just Coach Silas.
Yeah. We'll do.
Um, he talked about emphasizing off-ball movement,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of my favorite aspects of basketball. One of my favorite teams in NBA history is the 2014 championship San Antonio Spurs. They thrived on ball movement and people moving away from the ball. So they were able to defeat a team with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh, with Tim Duncan, who was about to retire, an old Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, because of that fundamental basketball.
Mhm.
So if you take just the raw talent of Harden and Westbrook, and you add some of those basketball fundamentals with people doing some screens to open up their shooters, get them better looks, to run more pick and roll, that might be, if Silas has what it takes as a coach, because he's a little unproven, that could be what it takes to get Houston into the Western Conference Finals again.
I did not hear that he wanted out. I heard that they wanted to get him. But so, okay, I did hear something about Harden, though, and that's that he wanted John Lucas to get the head coaching position. Now, they just hired him as an assistant coach, and he's been an assistant with the team for, I guess, the past few seasons or so. But he was in player development, and now he's the actual assistant coach. But supposedly Harden wanted him, and then I think Tillman wanted Jeff Van Gundy, and they ended up with Coach Silas. So
Interesting.
I really hope that Harden doesn't want out, because we definitely need him. And I don't know what they would do without him. But I don't know. I don't know about that.
I have not heard that rumor either. And I also, Shane does like to push buttons.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look at that later. There is a star who does want out of his team that we will touch on later. But let's go back to the Daryl Morey situation in Philadelphia. So two things that he said. First of all, he wanted Harden, which I don't think is going to happen. Whether or not Harden wants out of Houston, I don't know what Philly's going to give up in order to get him. Unless
talks that it was going to be Joel Embiid.
See, that I don't see why you would want to do that. The other thing that's conflicting is Morey said that he believes that Embiid and Simmons can work together, which is a very bold statement, because they're kind of the dynamic duo with the least amount of success to show for it. You know, they're two absolutely incredible players, and they just haven't been able to do much on that Philadelphia 76ers team. But some people think it might be the fit. You know, Tobias Harris was severely overpaid, which kind of strapped them thin. Al Horford doesn't really fit well in a starting position. They paid him a lot of money just to come off the bench. Like we talked about the last time we had a show, Daryl Morey is a master of trades. So it will be interesting to see what kind of trades he ends up making, and if Simmons or Embiid are involved in either one.
I don't want Ben Simmons. I said Bill. I don't want him.
Does anybody want Ben Simmons?
He can't shoot a three. We're a 3-point shooting team.
He
do that right now.
Doesn't fit. It'd be tough to find a fit for Simmons. I do think he has value, and there are definitely teams who want him. He's got to. Let's take Westbrook's kind of a point guard who he does shoot threes. He can't make them very well. So you got that dynamic. More than anything, Simmons passing, and he's also just an incredible defender. He can defend almost every position, any size. That's really where his true value is. But him not shooting threes, and the former Philadelphia coach Brett Brown forcing Embiid to take threes was not a good combination.
Yeah, I think that, you know, if they want to make something happen, Daryl Morey is the guy to figure out exactly who they need, what they need. And I mean, maybe adding just another piece and changing around Al Horford and who was the other one?
Tobias Harris, who will be difficult to trade.
Oh, really? What's his situation?
It's just they gave him a max contract. They gave him a lot of money. It was kind of they didn't want to see him walk away. And so they just gave him way too much money, and it kind of strapped him down. And he kind of he didn't play phenomenally. So it's not like, hey, here's a max guy who's an all-star.
Right.
Go ahead and trade for him. It's like, here's a guy making max money who's okay. You know, he's good. He can start, but he's not going to be a star.
Yeah.
I wasn't about to Kanye you, but we have a lot of comments that have absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. So we're going to just speed right through all these comments here.
Let's do
So,
it.
What have you guys heard on the NBA start date?
That's a whole topic.
All right, we'll get to that. You guys didn't send me your topic list, guys.
Yeah, it's
You
because
guys need to fill me in on this.
it's the topic list from 2 weeks ago. You just have to scroll up a bit.
My bad. All right, so we'll get to that. Celtics trading Hayward.
Okay, he's one of the few people that I actually put as our topics today that there's been trade rumors for. Gordon Hayward is a guy. What's that?
I'm just laughing at the fact that these are all in the Spark notes that you gave me 2 weeks ago when we were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago.
We're getting there. I don't know if Celtics trade Hayward because it depends on what they get, because he's still on a pretty big contract. So if they can get
dump the contract. No. Just dump the contract.
Well,
He
money.
wants out.
Are they going to get anyone better than if Hayward comes back playing
I don't
good
care.
Hayward
He's just
basketball?
awful at this point.
Maybe. I think they will trade him if they can get a big man. That is who they need. He's been tied to guys like Miles Turner of the Pacers, possibly a Tristan Thompson. The Celtics need a big man to win a championship. As valuable as Hayward is, I would only trade him for a starting center.
And I heard that he wants to get out. So
Yeah, I've heard that too. And in the Boston market, it's a big story. So if he wants out, trade him for a bag of balls for all I care. So this is supposed to say, she corrected it right after, I heard that the NBA is going to try to get fans back.
at a lower percentage. I think they're
Which
saying
is-
maybe 25 to 40 or 50 or something.
So we'll go into. So I had a topic for you guys because we talked about it on the NHL show. So we'll go right into that because I'm a money guy. How does the COVID moving forward affect the NBA? Which brings that question. If you have 20 to 25% of your capacity, you're not making full profit.
I have some numbers. Numbers.
Oh,
Let's drop the numbers.
she getting prepared.
So, okay, if they basically right now, as we speak, or maybe earlier, I don't know, they're voting. The NBA wants to start December 22nd. The players don't want to start till January 18th, I think.
I believe it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day that they want to start.
Yeah, so they want some more time, which some of those teams haven't played since March. So I really feel like some of them have had plenty of time.
LeBron James wants some more time.
Yes, it's LeBron
Probably.
that wants more time. So if they start on December 22nd, they're looking at an 18% decrease in their salary, which, I mean, for us, these numbers are just ridiculous. But Steph Curry, for example, he would go from making $43 million to $35.3 million. I don't know how he will possibly pay all of his bills, but that's $7 million less. LeBron would go from $39.2 million to $32.2 million. Kawhi 34.4 to 28.2. Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle. But
I don't know if they can do it.
They definitely, if they decide to go all the way till January, I'm not sure how much of a decrease they'll see, but it'd be a bunch more. So
with that's the players' effect. Now let's talk about the league.
You know the numbers, right?
For the league.
The revenue. You wrote about it in the Discord.
So I wrote a little bit, and what it was, this is from the 2019 to 2020 season that just ended. The NBA missed their season-long revenue projections by $1.5 billion. There are two reasons that happened. First, Daryl Morey and the whole China thing that people might have forgotten about. That was a lot of money that they lost from television deals, from sponsorships, from league pass stuff, merchandise. That was a big hit. And then COVID, the season was shortened a lot. They spent like $200 million or more to get that bubble going. There was no fans for any of those games. Some of the games were strangely low rated, if I remember correctly. So they took a big hit already. However, they do say that restarting the season at all saved an additional $1.5 billion in potential losses. And that's even with paying for the bubble. So they gotta start the season eventually. I know that the owners are going to be thinking more about money, while the players, money does talk. I think they're going to be more concerned about their health and safety. So I think that executives and owners are going to be trying to get fans into the building. There's talks of doing more sports betting, different things to make up revenue that tickets would normally generate. I think the players are going to push for more safety because they don't want to see another bubble. They don't want to have the season postponed again. And surely none of them want to get COVID.
So I read that if they want to spare $500 million in losses, they need to start before Christmas. But the player, like you said, the players aren't really for that. But as far as health goes, they are still having to take daily COVID tests in order to start their off-season workouts. So they will have to take it every day. I think that's good, because then they can at least have the game still going, but it's obviously not in a bubble anymore. So it's more likely we're going to see players catch it.
Well, they also talked about a regional kind of thing. So, for example, they would play like a pod of games in the California area. You've got Sacramento, Oakland, the two LA teams. They would, play each other, twice before traveling. Then same with like some Eastern Conference teams, Boston, Philadelphia, New York, Brooklyn. Maybe they have like a little pod where they play each other to kind of limit the amount of times that teams are traveling and spending times in different hotels, jumping here and there, doing whatever. Logistically, that's a headache that I certainly don't want to work on, but it is an idea that's been thrown out.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good idea.
I agree.
No, you guys are looking at this from the right now standpoint. On the NHL show, we dug into 2 years from now, 3 years from now. What is the NBA salary cap as it stands right now? Do we have that number? The salary cap in the NBA is a joke to begin with because you can find your way around it in any number of ways. Somehow the Golden State Warriors have 4 max contracts. I don't understand the NBA salary cap. I don't try to. The salary cap, no matter what, is going to go down. Just like I said with the NHL, it's not going to affect the NBA as much as the NHL. But now we have to look into this max contract is only worth X amount of money as opposed to the guy that signed last year who's worth X amount of money, which is going to be significantly higher.
Right.
What can the NHL, I'm still on NHL apparently. What can the NBA do? Because the players aren't going to buy that. The NHL, you can sell it easily. They were paid shit to begin with compared to every other sport. So where can the NBA make up that ground in money?
Well, there's a couple of questions to address here. First is, the long-term projection of the NBA. Even though they're getting paid ridiculous amounts of money, the players are probably going to make some noise. 115, is that the salary cap?
I'm going to guess 115 million is the salary cap at the moment, which is a very lower number than I expected, to be honest.
Well, that's because they have a soft cap. And then the hard cap, but you can also exceed the hard cap with other. The
NBA makes no sense with salary cap. I already said it.
Yeah, and the whole thing that as long as you pay the luxury tax, you can have as much payroll as you want. It's just coming out of your pocket.
Super teams.
Yeah, as long as the owners are paying for it, which I think Bob Myers of the Warriors has said, yeah, I'll pay whatever it takes to, to get my team to win games. That's what I care about. So long term, there's something that's been interesting me, which is the collective bargaining agreement that has been postponed like 5 times since the NBA restart. It's due for a renewal. It's where they'll start talking about, player salaries, all that kind of stuff. The NBA is kind of known for its player empowerment. I wouldn't be entirely surprised. Now, I'm not going to say this is for sure going to happen, but what are the odds that in the next couple of years, we see another NBA lockout by the players either saying, it's not worth my health to jump through all these hoops. I'm going to wait until the cap rises again, and we're going to sit out. It's happened.
When does their CBA run up?
When does it run up?
Yeah, when does the CBA run up for the NBA?
Let me look, because I think they need to do it it looks like they might have extended it sooner than I realized. Let me pull up the story, because I kept seeing tweets about how they were pushing it back. It looks like they made an extension that would last for the next few seasons. I'd have to look to see what they're pushing off.
But that would mean that they don't really have any negotiation power to do that, with the exception of opting out. So you now have to get everybody to side with LeBron James, which seems super unlikely in the NBA at this point. It seems like the younger generation does not agree with LeBron James and his mantra of the NBA. So now you have to get them all on the same page to, quote unquote, organize a strike, because the strike can't just happen without the CBA in place.
Right.
Well, yeah, because there's some guys who don't make even a fraction of what LeBron makes. They can't afford to go on a strike. Austin Rivers got paid, which again, to us, this is ridiculous. It's like
23, 24. That's what I saw.
But like LeBron making nearly 40 million a year, he can afford to take some time off. So I don't think he'd be able to organize something like that. Right.
He's got your name wrong, but it's still there.
The effort is there. He was eating or something. He had something in his mouth while he was saying that.
the Hubter main gang.
Yeah, the thing as well is the players with higher salaries are the ones that have a louder voice. So the players that are on minimum salaries, like an Austin Rivers who's making a lot less, he's not going to have as much say in what goes as Chris Paul and LeBron James, the star veteran leaders who they have more media sway. If Aaron Baines goes out here and says, I think we should do this, half of the NBA is going to be like, who's Aaron Baines? But if Kawhi Leonard comes out and says, this is what I think, a lot more people are going to listen.
Right. Let me ask you again, when did you say the extension went to?
Doesn't autocorrect on the hashtag. Right. So it runs through 23, 24. So I'll have to look at what I was like. Maybe it wasn't the CBA.
They said that they just, this is from Woj or whatever. I don't know how to say his full last name. I'm not even going to attempt it. 6 days ago, he did say that they agreed to extend the deadline to serve notice on terminating the collective bargaining agreement. Extension goes to tomorrow, November 6th, which allows additional time for talks on CBA modifications. Discussions are ongoing this weekend. So they were.
So I'm not crazy, first of all, so that's good to know. I do remember reading that. That's something that we'll have to look into, because that Wikipedia is the source. That'll be something to look into, because that could have some major implications for the future of the NBA.
Yeah. Okay. So on to the next thing. Did you want to talk about our way too early power rankings?
Way too early power rankings. Let's do it. We can probably fit in a couple of these other points at the same time. I think the best teams, we can do top 3 in the East and top 3 in the West, if that sounds good. Maybe dip into top 5 if we're a little undecided. I think starting with the East is the easiest because there are clear favorites already. It's going to be the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, and Miami Heat.
That was exactly in my head, but I had the Heat above Celtics.
Yeah, I think they're pretty interchangeable. The Bucks are interesting because as long as they keep at least their current core and don't lose anybody, they should easily be the number 1 regular season team. Playoffs is different.
Just now, you said the Heat?
The Bucks.
Oh,
I might have said Heat on accident, but the Bucks should definitely have pretty good odds at being the number 1 seed in the league and in the East again. Miami Heat and Celtics, not the Hornets. That'd probably be my bottom 3. We'll get there.
Elizabeth Cat is back. She's here.
Yeah, new hashtag. So
Do we have a cat name?
This one is Cooper.
Cooper. All right. Cooper is now a part of the show every week.
Yay! She's like the fattest cat in the world. I don't know if y'all can see this, but she's very fat. I'm sorry.
How dare you? As we were saying, Cooper, I would say whoever gets that second spot between the Heat and the Celtics depends on any offseason moves they make. Miami has been looking at getting like a Victor Oladipo kind of player who's a little more higher level talent to pair with their young core. And the Celtics need a big man. So if either of them can make that move, I'd say that they get the jump in the too early power rankings.
Okay, so I saw that you wrote on the Discord that they would consider trading Hero.
Yes. Did I say who for? I know. I just didn't know how much beans I spilled. Yeah. So people are still trying to pry Giannis from the Bucks. They're feeding off of what happens if Giannis leaves in free agency and the Bucks end up with nothing. The value that Giannis has right now is the highest that it might ever be unless he continues to improve, which is an absolutely terrifying thought. So the Bucks are kind of at a crossroads. Do they just hope that Giannis stays with the team long term, even if they don't win a championship? Is it championship or bust, or do they just throw in the towel and say, we did what we could, let's get the biggest return we can? And Miami has made it known that if they do plan on trading Giannis, that they will include Tyler Hero, who is one of the most promising rookies of the draft class. I don't think it's a tempting enough offer, but it's interesting that they're willing to go that far.
Oh my God, she's knocking stuff over now. Stop it. So I read a rumor, which I feel like everybody can, make assumptions about this, but Giannis is likely to sign the Supermax with the Bucks. For Hero and a straight.
Hero too good. Source Mr. Bertolato.
Well, I don't.
By chance, is that an inside joke that we're not cued into?
It's the name is a mutual friend. The joke is just funny.
I love when Hunter gets flustered and doesn't know what to do. It's the greatest.
Blush.
Yeah, these are they're curveballs. You just gotta do something.
So I think that he will sign a Supermax with them unless like some other team is going to offer a crazy amount higher than what the Bucks can offer. I think he'll stay with them.
If my memory doesn't fail me, I don't think anyone can offer more money. You're good, David. I don't think anyone can offer more cold hard cash to Giannis than the Bucks. The NBA has a system. I believe this system is still in place where re-signing with a team will net you more money than signing with another team. An example would be Kevin Durant. He could have gotten a Supermax with the Thunder that was worth a lot more than he got with the Warriors, not just because they were already paying Curry and they had to pay Clay and Draymond, but simply because he could not qualify for more. I don't remember all the numbers that go into that reason. I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis signs a supermax, but of course, we're so used to stars just jumping ship and joining each other on other teams.
So that was the NBA's really, really sad attempt to give the small market teams some leverage to keep star players that they develop. It has yet to actually freaking work. Players still just bail and just say, "Yeah, it's only like $20 million. I'll throw it on the table."
Yeah, they'll do what it takes to win is, I guess, what they're doing.
Okay, so that's our East.
Before we move to the West, actually, we had that Matthew Boyce comment about the New York teams. I think the Knicks are going to be garbage until James Dolan leaves. But what do you think about the Brooklyn Nets? They have an interesting coaching staff. They've got D'Antoni, Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire as their coaches, which is the core of the 7 Seconds or Less Suns. And they have a returning Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Do you think they're going to be any good?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. I don't know that they'll be a top 3 team, but they're a playoff team for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I can't imagine a world where Kevin Durant is playing basketball and not winning. So I don't know how him and Kyrie will play together, but I think that they're going to be a playoff team for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Especially in the top-heavy East, I definitely see them as a playoff team. They've got 2 really big names, but I'm just not sold on the concept enough to put them in the top 3 in the East.
Now, the Knicks, absolutely not. They're yes, for the Nets, yes. But the Knicks are on my they're my absolute worst team of the NBA on my list that I wrote.
Okay.
So I don't think we'll see anything with that. I mean, even if they get one big name, their whole team isn't that great right now, you know? So it's a rebuild year for sure. And I don't think that they will get a big name.
Well, there's no, like we touched on an episode or 2 ago, the free agency class this season is just not good.
Right.
They've got good players, but there's no name that is going to take a team like the Knicks into the playoffs. They can get like Fred VanVleet or Montrezl Harrell, and unless one of those guys just leapfrogs into a 25 points per game scorer, it's not going to move the needle for them.
And it would just make more sense for them to get players that balance the team as opposed to having just one superstar and some guys playing with them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to add some depth and just...
Efficiency guy Mitchell Robinson will turn the whole team around this year for sure. That might be true if he took more than like 6 shots a game, half of them being putbacks. He is one of the, I think, better guys on the team, but another interesting aspect, Barrett and Knox seem like the 2 to build a franchise around, emphasize on build. They definitely need a lot of work. They've got Tom Thibodeau as their new coach, correct? If I remember correctly. He's kind of known for gritty teams with heavy starter minutes, so it'll be interesting to see what he does with these young guys like Barrett and Knox and Robinson and what other poor souls are still there.
Okay. So is that all on the East?
I think the Hornets are going to be trash as well. That's pretty much my last point. I hope the Hawks go from 0 to hero.
I'd like to see them playoffs. I'm maybe like an 8th seed, maybe.
I think 7th seed would be exceeding expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have it in them, but it's just so much to ask from them being one of the worst teams in the league to suddenly make the playoffs. But again, we haven't really seen Trae Young with Clint Capella.
Right.
They could still make some moves. There's always an off-season development of all their young guys. They've got an incredibly young roster.
They have like a lot of money to spend, right? Don't they?
I would assume
like,
so. I think they
limited.
have enough for a max.
Yeah.
But there's also, I think there's a John Collins situation there. He's easily their 2nd best player right now. And I think he wants to get paid big money or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see what happens to them. I think they have a high ceiling, but they have a lot to prove.
Yeah. Okay. So on to the West, obviously, number one. LeBron and the Lakers, blah, blah, blah. I feel like we really need to get into that.
Yeah, well, reigning champs always take precedent in the power rankings unless someone like retires. But they're keeping.
It's been enough years now.
He won't.
Like, what? This will be 18.
Yeah, he's not going to retire. I see no world that he retires while he's still playing this good.
And he wanted to play with his son, right?
He said that. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to pull it off, and I know he can definitely pull some strings to get that draft pick to land right in his lap.
I wonder if by the time that Bronny gets there, what it's like 4 years we figured last time, I think.
Something like that.
I wonder if by the time he gets there, if LeBron's going to be like LeBron now, or if he's going to be like Vince Carter last season. Hey,
MVP Harden, though.
I like it.
I'm very interested in LeBron's trajectory, his career trajectory, because it's year 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of NBA basketball, and he's still playing at an MVP level.
Yeah,
4 years down the road, I don't think he's going to make a Vince Carter-like drop-off where Vince Carter was just kind of coming off the bench and he was a locker room presence. I think in 4 years, the worst is that LeBron is a starter playing 30 minutes as the clear second or third best guy on the team, which honestly, for whoever has him in 4 years, that sounds absolutely terrifying.
It's crazy to think that one day there's going to be a team when LeBron is not the best player.
That is true.
Than him. That's crazy.
We'll see if I don't want to just claim what LeBron is. I don't want to say that he has an ego or something, but it'll be interested to see if he will allow himself No, you're fine. It'll be interesting to see if LeBron will allow himself to not be the best player on the team. Most people are in agreement that LeBron is the best player on the Lakers, although Anthony Davis is spectacular and it gives him a run for his money. LeBron's kind of shown some willingness to hand over the reins of stardom to AD. Further down his career, when he finally starts to show he's human and declines, is he going to be like, oh, I'm not the man anymore, am I done? Or is he going to be like, okay.
This is a movie pitch. Okay. LeBron's whole career up until this point, right? And then his son comes into the league and has some random struggle, and LeBron helps him through it and then passes the torch on to him, and then Bronny is the best player. I think that would be
that would be
no, I wouldn't want LeBron to play himself, but I think that'd be a good movie to see.
The year is 2065. LeBron is 17-36 in the finals and won his 21st finals MVP. We'll see how much technology advances by then, and if he just I know. I mean, he's already dumping $1 million into staying in physical shape. If he starts upping that to $2 million and starts getting some experimental treatments, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, love him or hate him, it's very cool to see how remarkable of an athlete he is. It's historic.
Yeah. I mean, to still be going, I know that I am 31 and get winded when I go running. So I don't know. I can't imagine how elite he is, you know?
Absolutely.
But, okay. So Lakers number 1, blah, blah. Who do you have for number 2 and 3? Because my answers are not who you think.
They're not who I think. Now, I'm trying to think of a reason not to put the Clippers in the top 3. Because, you know, they were pretty easily heading into the playoffs the number 2 team in the West. Kawhi Leonard, while he might have dropped off a little bit defensively, had one of his best offensive seasons yet, if not his all-time best offensive season. As much crap as we give Paul George, he is still a very good two-way player. but I think I have to leave them there at second,
I swear I have them.
but I want to put the Mavericks and the Nuggets instead.
I didn't even think about the Mavs. Okay, well, I have Nuggets at 3. I mean, normally I'd be like Rockets, but
Mhm.
there's so much unknown about this season. I really don't know what's going to happen with them. So I'll let y'all know later in the season how I feel about that. But I think Nuggets, because they're so solid, they just have been. I don't know what they're missing exactly, because it seems like every year they're in playoffs and every year they're right there at the third, but I don't know what they're missing. I don't know what it is.
Well, I have a little thing to add. One of the reasons I agree that the Nuggets are kind of underrated in how solid they've been as a team the past couple of years. They were third in the Western Conference this last season. Two things that I'm hoping for the Nuggets. First, I want to see the bubble playoff Jamal Murray in the regular season. If he plays, in all seriousness,
they were a
Warriors,
team.
we'll touch on them after this, but for the Nuggets, if Jamal Murray can play even like 3/4 of how he did in the playoffs, you've improved without making any other roster changes. Second, they have been pushing since last regular season and maybe even earlier, trying to get a trade for Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, he's with the New Orleans Pelicans. He is considered one of the best defensive guards in the NBA by his fellow players. And he's basically an upgrade over Gary Harris. Gary Harris is their starting shooting guard most nights, who excels on the defensive end, but offensively, he just doesn't bring much to the table. Drew Holiday is an upgrade on both. Well, if we're going bubble versions, then the Suns are first overall seed, no doubt. Undefeated, 82-0. So that's my 2 cents on the Nuggets. If they can get Drew Holiday and Jamal Murray makes a leap, I would easily put them at 2. The Mavericks, I think Luka Doncic has such a high ceiling on what he's able to do with a team. And if Porzingis stays healthy and they're able to make an off-season move, they gave the Clippers a run for their money in the playoffs, and I think they could have more stability than they do.
Coach Silas for the Rockets used to be an assistant coach for the Mavericks, and Luka attributed all of his player growth to him. So that's cool. Hopefully that turns out for my team,
Luka's not going to Houston. No way.
No, not Luka. I mean, I would love Luka, but no. What I'm saying is hopefully Coach Silas can help some of the players grow in the same way,
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, no, I don't expect them to move Luka our way. But okay, the Warriors. If Steph comes back shooting like he was shooting, if Clay's playing like he was playing, I don't see why they're not 4th, 5th. I mean, I don't know how that team would play against last season Lakers, because I feel like the last season Lakers were just too good. I think that they might have been better than the Warriors, who won, the seasons before. I don't know.
It might be a stretch because a prime Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green, that's all-time stuff. But there's a lot of unknowns for the Warriors. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson both took basically an entire season off. They don't have Durant anymore. And Draymond had a bad season. We'll just say he did not play well. He's kind of a system player. So like, I don't think it's regression. I think it's the fact that his strengths were not being properly utilized.
Right. They put him into the point guard position, and I don't know. I mean, like, I really did feel bad for him, because he really was trying to get the Warriors to stay a playoff team, but he couldn't do it.
Yeah, you're not winning a lot of games when Draymond is your best player, which is what the Warriors were trying to do. He's a great playmaker, but he shouldn't be a ball handler. He is good at setting screens. He's good at being vocal on the defensive end, and he's good at those touch passes, hockey assists, hitting cutters. He's an essential glue guy, so I imagine he's going to be fine. It'll just be whether or not Curry and Clay are playing anything close to how they were pre-injury. If they are, they might make the playoffs, but I have my reservations because the Thunder have a good chance. If the Thunder are probably going to drop, I assume. The Jazz, I don't see getting much better, and the Trailblazers are also an unknown. So I would see the Warriors kind of in that pack between like 6 through 9. But they also have the number 2 pick in the draft. And they have expressed interest in possibly trading it, packaging with maybe Andrew Wiggins to try and get another star, which would change things because you know how well these shooters work with another star that can take a load off of them.
Well, so crap, I just had a whole train of thought disappear from my head. This happens every show. I don't know what I was going to say. I was about to say something about when does free agency start? Is it December 1st?
I've lost track of dates because they keep pushing back the draft. They don't even know when the season is going to start. I imagine that they'll handle the draft before they do free agency. Warriors top 3 West, bar major injuries. I'm not so sure yet. Just because, injuries really do stuff to a player. And it's not just the injuries. It's 2 players past age 30 trying to, get back into game shape, try to get shooting form again. Would I be entirely surprised if they were a top 3 team? Probably not. It's the Warriors. But I'm not sold on them yet.
I think they could absolutely make it to 4 or 5. I don't think that they will be a top 3.
We'll have to see. We always eat our words, but
we can make it right now. I bet that they will not make top 3.
I'm not gonna bet against the only unanimous MVP in NBA history.
I only bet against teams that I don't care about.
Ooh, shots fired at San Francisco.
Okay. So worst teams on the West.
I mean, the Bubble Suns are interesting, not as a worst team, but as kind of a dark horse for the playoffs if they can keep that chemistry. Unfortunately, Devin Booker is the star I mentioned earlier who wants out. I don't know who's interested in trading him, but it is a
friends at the Timberwolves.
He might. We'll see. The Timberwolves do have that number 1 pick. Maybe they try to get the 3 amigos of all offense and no defense. But as far as the worst teams, man, there's a lot of people scraping the bottom of the barrel here. The Warriors had the worst record, so it's not going to be them. The Timberwolves were next, but I feel like their ceiling is higher with Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. So I want to say that they'll improve a little bit, which leaves the New Orleans Pelicans, Sacramento Kings, and the San Antonio Spurs. I've never been a fan of the Sacramento Kings, and I don't think that they're going to get much better. So I would put them as a bottom 3 team. That would be my one guarantee.
Coach, the Kings did.
They did?
Rex Calamian?
I didn't even realize they fired their coach, or is he an assistant? Okay. Yeah. I was like, what?
He spent the last 2 seasons with the Clippers, which it seems like who are the Clippers going to have for assistant coaches? Ty Lue's gone. Who's the other one? There was another one that was.
Well, Ty Lue's their head coach now, right?
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right.
But I'm sure they'll get people. There's a lot of people who are hungry for coaching chances in the NBA, and the
Who was another
Clippers.
one? Was looking that was interviewing for a coaching job.
Is this about the Supersonics? Is that what the face is,
Yeah,
Jake?
yeah, that's what the face is.
What?
Did I miss something? Are the Supersonics coming back, or
Possibly the Timberwolves or something?
The one rumor, the Timberwolves are, I think they're for sale, I guess you'd say. Ownership has put the team for sale. Kevin Garnett is the name that has stuck out as a guy trying to get people together to buy the team. Kevin Garnett has really, really bad blood with Minnesota. So it's almost like I'm going to stick it to you by buying the team and moving it back to Seattle, where I know there's a huge market. But there's really been no traction for it. So
why does he hate Minnesota?
So he was there. He had some of his, actually, he definitely had his best seasons for the Timberwolves, but they did not surround him with the guys he needed to win. There was some personal interaction issues that just rubbed him the wrong way. And then they shipped him off to Boston, where he ended up winning a ring. But ever since then, he's like, I just hate that ownership. Seattle definitely deserves an NBA team coming back, which here's a point that I forgot to write, but is interesting. The Toronto Raptors are considering, or I guess they're not, but the NBA is considering having them play their 2020-2021 season games in the U.S. because of travel restrictions.
I tried to tell y'all earlier, but y'all didn't hear me.
Did you? Yeah, well, a lot of people talking. So here, what are your thoughts on Raptors? Where should they play? Why should they play there?
Where was it? I saw some football players say they should play.
That was an article by yours truly on the Game Changer Sports Network. They're not going to Buffalo. Yeah. So Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP, regular season MVP, inked a 10-year extension for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is throwing his hat into the ring to get Sam Castle. He is?
Because I know he was getting interviewed for the Rockets job because I couldn't pronounce his name. I
remember that.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes wants the Raptors to play their games in Kansas City. They have, in my article, I outlined it a little bit. They've got some basketball history. They had the Kansas City Kings there for about a decade before they relocated to Sacramento, to the now Sacramento Kings. Kansas City is thriving right now with the Chiefs and the Royals. Royals aren't super great, but they're supporting major league teams. The other cities I've seen get some traction are Louisville, I think, was one, and another city out east. Buffalo definitely wasn't one of them, Matthew. I'm sorry.
Who are the Toronto Blue Jays? What is that? Is that
I missed the comment, but they're a Major League Baseball team.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, that was a real question. Okay, that was a real question.
I watch basketball and basketball only, so I don't know nothing.
She's only on the show on Thursdays, Jake.
People said the Astros cheated. That's about all I know about baseball, and that's real. That's all I know.
When we have a baseball show again, I think you need to watch a few episodes.
You need to have Elizabeth on for an Astros segment, just so I can see the cheating debate between the native Houstonian and
Houston until the death.
Which is why this is must-see TV.
I don't even understand what the problem was. Baseball is not my thing.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle tries to make a bid for the Raptors to play their games there. I see no way that the Raptors would ever get relocated. They're definitely staying in Toronto. But these cities, they want a chance because they want an NBA team. Is probably what's going to happen. That's why Patrick Mahomes is probably like, hey, let's get a team here. Louisville's like, hey, we could get a team maybe for an expansion. If the NBA continues to be successful, who's to say we don't expand to 32 teams or something like that? And being able to host a team, that's how the Oklahoma City Thunder were able to get a team. They hosted the New Orleans Hornets at the time during Hurricane Katrina. The Commissioner Stern saw that, and when Seattle ownership, the guy who bought Seattle Supersonics, said, I want to move to Oklahoma, he approved it because they proved that they were able to handle it.
I'm trying to think of what area of the United States doesn't have a basketball team. I mean, split up.
The northern part of the Midwest, all of that Montana and Dakota area,
Yeah.
places where nobody lives. The major cities that I can see getting expansion teams in the future, besides obviously Seattle, definitely deserves to have one come back. Las Vegas is really trying to make a push to get teams for all major sports. They got their hockey team not too long ago. They've got a WNBA team. So I could see them getting one. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kansas City with how well the Chiefs are doing. And mostly just that. I think Kansas City would get a team before St. Louis did, if we're talking about the Midwest. Other cities, I'm not so sure. Those are kind of the standout cities that don't have a team that I could see being a part of an expansion.
Mm-hmm. Texas, we have 3.
They barely got any. I think California is running a little dry.
You know what? With how many Lakers fans we have in Texas, it's crazy. We've got 3 teams to choose from, and they choose the Lake. I don't get it.
There's Lakers fans everywhere. Oh, let's hear it.
Today is the 24th anniversary of his first points ever made as a Laker.
Wow.
That was one of 33,643 points.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
To build on that, actually, I saw, and I wish I had the exact number, but it was something about how Kobe Bryant has scored more points in the Staples Center, the Los Angeles home arena,
Mm-hmm.
than any player has scored in any single arena.
Wow.
So for one area, I don't know why I'm doing this, but for one stadium, one arena, he's got the most points.
You know what? The Warriors were the worst team this year. I don't want to hear nothing.
Well, if we're talking about Texas teams, San Antonio is kind of on the downfall. They missed the playoffs. They don't really have a standout star anymore.
Popovich didn't retire, right?
Not officially, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did soon. We'll just have to see, because I don't see a whole lot of hope for them in these coming seasons after finally breaking that playoff streak.
Houston doesn't suck. Just want to make that very clear. We have James Harden.
I don't know who's taunting you more,
It's
Jake by putting it up over and over again, or David for making the comments. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Hopefully we get some exciting preseason news and we finally nail down some season restart dates. We'll also start looking into the draft class, get some more info on some of the new players that will be coming into the league at such a weird time. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next Thursday.
Bye.